Morning, students. Under the chapter of human reproduction, we have already studied about the male reproductive system and female reproductive system. In this PPT, now we will learn about the gametogenesis. As we know that gametogenesis is the production of gametes. Now, coming to the spermatogenesis. This is the process which is concerned with the formation of spermatids. Spermatids, as we all know, they are produced in the males. The production of the spermatids is done in the seminiferous tubules of a testis. And this is the process which begins at the adolescent age or puberty. This is a diagram of spermatogenesis, that is the formation of spermatids. As the name indicates, spermato is from the spermatid and genesis, it means the formation. Process of spermatogenesis begins with the spermatogonium. These are the cells which are having the diploid level of organization. Spermatogonium undergoes mitosis, which we all know that this is an equational division, and it results into formation of many cells which are called as spermatogonia. Few of the spermatogonia undergo the cell growth, and then they are called as primary spermatocyte. These are also diploid in nature. Primary spermatocytes shows the meiosis 1, which is a reductional division, and change into the secondary spermatocyte. Secondary spermatocytes, they show the meiosis 2, which is the equational division, and these results in the formation of spermatids. So this is the path from the spermatogonium to the spermatids, which is called as the spermatogenesis. When the spermatids they undergo the cell differentiation, they make the spermatozoa. And this process of making spermatozoa from the spermatids is called as spermiogenesis. So, as we have studied, spermatids are formed by the process of spermatogenesis. Spermatids they are transformed into the spermatozoa or the sperm by the process that is the spermiogenesis. After this, the sperm head it is embedded into the Sertoli cells, which provides nourishment to the growing sperms, and the process of release of sperm is called as the spermiation. In this diagram, you can see the spermiogenesis. These are the spermatids, and here it is the sperm. So these are the various stages through which the cells passes, and ultimately it changes into the sperm with the three regions, that is head, middle piece and the tail. Now behind this whole process of spermatogenesis and spermiogenesis, certain hormones are responsible. It starts with the gonadotropic releasing hormone, which we all know that this is a hypothalamic hormone. These releasing hormones they enters into the anterior pituitary gland, and this gland releases further two hormones. One is LH and another is FSH. The luteinizing hormone they acts on the Leydig cells. We can recall that Leydig cells these are present around the seminiferous tubules, and their main role is to make the hormones which are the androgens. These androgens begins to act on the region of the seminiferous tubules and spermatogenesis starts. And this is the process of formation of the spermatids. FSH these acts on the Sertoli cells which are helps in the nourishing, and here these release certain factors which helps in the spermiogenesis, that is a modification of spermatids into the sperm. This is the structure of a sperm. It has the following part, that is head, neck, middle piece and tail. In this diagram you can see the head, and this small region this is called as a neck. Then there is a middle piece and then there is a tail. The plasma membrane is present all around the structure of a sperm. There is a cap-like structure, acrosome is present around the head of a sperm, and the main role is to secrete certain enzymes which will help at the time of fertilization. Mitochondria, which is present in the middle piece, gives the energy to the sperm for the movement. After studying about the spermatogenesis, let us come to the oogenesis. This is the process for the formation of mature female gamete. It occurs inside the ovary. The main difference in the oogenesis and the spermatogenesis is that this oogenesis is initiated during the embryonic stage, while spermatogenesis it starts only at the puberty. At this stage, millions of oogonia are formed, and these oogonia they enter into the prophase 1 of meiosis. But this cell division doesn't complete here, and this division get arrested, and then they make the primary oocyte. When puberty comes, these primary oocyte they complete the division and they make the secondary oocyte. The secondary oocyte completes the division of meiosis 2 at the time of fertilization. So here we can identify that in the spermatogenesis, meiosis 1 and meiosis 2 they go in a subsequent manner, while in the oogenesis, meiosis 1 and meiosis 2 has a lot of time difference. With this figure, oogenesis will be clear to us. This is the oogonia which undergoes the mitosis and makes many oogonia, and they enter into the primary oocyte. In the primary oocyte, meiosis 1 begins, but it is arrested at the stage of prophase 1. Till this process, cells are in the fetus, and this is the process before the birth. After puberty, meiosis continues and meiosis 1 is completed here, and it results in the formation of secondary oocyte. This division of meiosis is unequal, that's why it releases one smaller polar body and larger secondary oocyte with much amount of cytoplasm. Secondary oocyte enters into the stage of metaphase 2, and this division will be completed once the fertilization will take place in the ampullary isthmic region. Once the fertilization will take place, then meiosis 2 will be completed, and here also one polar body is released, and then the egg formed will be fertilized by the sperm, and it will result in formation of a zygote. Now this oogenesis is going inside the ovary, so here we will also see what is happening inside the ovary. The primary oocyte, it will form during the embryonic stage. They get surrounded by granulosa cell and make the primary follicle. We studied that primary oocytes are millions in the number, while at the puberty there are only 60 to 80,000 of primary follicle. Rest of them they get degenerates. Primary follicle they keep on surrounded by the more number of cells, and then they change into the secondary follicles. These secondary follicles they further change into the tertiary follicle, which has a fluid filled cavity which is called as the antrum. These secondary oocytes will undergo the meiosis 2, and then the cells of secondary oocyte they get surrounded by the zona pellucida. Once the more granulosa cells are added, the tertiary follicle they further change into the Graafian follicle. Now let us all these points in the coming diagram. This is the transverse section of ovary. This is the hilum part where the blood vessels and nerves they keep on entering and leaving the ovary. This is the primary follicle. This is the developing follicle, and here is the mature Graafian follicle. In this, you can see there is a fluid-filled cavity which is called as the antrum. Secondary oocyte is released at this stage. This is not a ovum, this is the secondary oocyte. This secondary oocyte will complete its second meiotic division at the time of fertilization. Once the secondary oocyte will release, the leftover part is called as the corpus luteum. This corpus luteum, it helps in releasing certain hormones rather it releases certain hormones which are helps in the maintenance of a pregnancy. So these are the events which are taking inside the ovary. So now coming to the summary part, and here we will also study how spermatogenesis is different from the oogenesis. Location, it is testes. Oogenesis, it is mostly in the ovary, but we know that meiosis too, it is completed. Once secondary oocyte, it enters into the ampullary isthmic region, and after the fertilization, it will complete its meiosis too. Here the meiotic division is equal, and but here it is unequal. Gamete formed at the end of the meiosis is 4, but here only one is formed and two polar bodies which are having the very little amount of cytoplasm they are formed. Spermatogenesis begins at the puberty stage, while the oogenesis it is started from the fetus. End time. It is a lifelong process, but it reduces with the age, while oogenesis ends once the menstruation stops in the female. So this was all about spermatogenesis and oogenesis. I wish this will be clear to you. Now coming to the assignment part, there are certain assignments. Practice these assignments and chapter will be much more clearer to you. Thank you.